the button, and off the stream goes. It's amazing when you know that the thing that you're clicking on is actually a button, not a label. I will put a tweet out and we'll begin approximately at 7:25, which is late, but I don't have a better opportunity to do this at the moment. I will send a tweet out. Going to stream exploration of PostCSS PurgeCSS plugin to create Constructable Stylesheet. I'm never sure how exactly to spell Constructable Stylesheet. I have a feeling it's a slightly unfortunate name. Does it have an A? Does it have a U? How do you spell this Constructable Stylesheet when you look it up in a documentation? Okay, it seems to have an A in it. Okay. So go into stream exploration of PostCSS PurgeCSS plugin to create Constructable Stylesheets. Got to grab the stream link. Okay. We've got about 4 minutes to go. I will do explanation of what this even means once the official 7:25 hits. Now this will be mostly an exploratory stream of the code base. People often just ask me, how is it that I know exactly what various error messages mean when I did my PHP tutorials? And right, the tutorial doesn't show you exactly the learning process. So I could just figure this out on my own, and then possibly make a tutorial about this later, but that's getting boring. So we'll see how to figure this out, if it's possible to figure it out at all. I'm not exactly a JavaScript developer. And if we figure out how PurgeCSS works, then we will extend it. And hopefully I can extend it, because that would be very much useful for my job. Fighting with Bootstrap is fairly irritating. At least in the context of app components. Okay, we've got a few minutes to go. And I can't believe that the reason I couldn't start the stream is because that thing is a flat button. So I couldn't tell that I was supposed to click on it. It wasn't a label, it was a button. And I really hope that this era of flat design is going to go away very soon. Actually, I'm seeing Microsoft is releasing a whole bunch of new icons for its Azure Marketplace, not Marketplace, for the Azure Control Panel. And even the tools, the kind of like, not IDEs, but those things that interface with Azure, like Storage Explorer, a lot of the backgrounds are now, what are those things called? Gradient image backgrounds. And icons actually represent the thing that you're looking at, not just white blobs with black outline. Okay, it is 7:25. I have actually figured out how to do the stream this time. So let's officially begin. The point of this exploration is to figure out if we can make PostCSS PurgeCSS plugin output its result into constructible stylesheets objects, as opposed to just a CSS blob that is then shared by the entire page. If we look at what web components look like these days, or current state, what's the current state of web components? Why do we want to go through this? Well, we have this web component here that has some shadow root, and that's all well and good. Gives us nice installation and a nice API, and it's all supported by browser natively, so there is no need for fancy frameworks. The downside is that the styles constrained into that web component. I can't just say that this class here to be picked up from the page's own CSS, which again is actually a good thing, because I can just focus on styling this component and that's it. How I get around this now is I am actually taking chunks of the CSS framework and I'm putting it directly into the style attribute of this element. The problem with that is there is a lot of reparsing and reinterpretation that needs to be done whenever this component gets onto a page. There is performance issues, not so much of a problem for just two of these components I have now, but if I start applying these styles to every other component that I have, I don't have a shadow DOM here. This one actually does the inheritance from the main page. If each one of these numeric inputs going to get a style of its own that has to be reinterpreted, even if it's the same style, that's just going to kill the page. And coding of this is actually pretty difficult too, because let's open up another project that I have, which let's go for this one. If we look at the breakdown component, how I'm getting around it now is I am taking in a CSS from outside, not really from outside, but from a file that would correspond to this web component. I'm reading it in through Webpack's loader, and I'm appending it to this HTML template. Then this whole HTML template gets pushed into the shadow DOM. That is much worse than it sounds, because with it requires variables that it assumes are present in all sections of a project. That's one problem. And the second problem is that a lot of let's see, get this into view. A lot of Bootstrap's styles based on inheritance from each other. So we notice that input component actually takes styles from input group, which in turn takes styles from form, and on it goes. And there is a lot of redundant styles that Bootstrap puts in just in case they're useful, or just because they get overridden, because it doesn't assume, it's not built for any one CSS class to be used independently. Right? Bootstrap just doesn't do that. And so you'll notice that you can change some of these properties, and like there is literally no change in a page because these are meaningless. They're there for extensions, they're there for monolithic work, right? So we can't really use Bootstrap for web components that are more atomic, unless we want to literally put the entire Bootstrap framework into this one poor little Shadow DOM style. That's infeasible, of course. I mean, I guess you can do that theoretically, but then websites are running slow as is. We don't need Bootstrap times 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know, 15 times. I have the number fields just on this page, right? So I was looking at this framework for Tailwind. Tailwind, something or other. Tailwind.com. Okay, there we go. So Tailwind, you can say what you want about having the classes in actual HTML, styling combined with blah, 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 blah. I don't care. Why I don't care is because these styles, at least in my case, going to be atomic to the component I'm styling. So, not a big deal. The problem I have with this at the moment is the way Tailwind works is, even though it's not really monolithic in that it requires a whole bunch of classes to be present just so that something else would work, each one of these class selectors or styles is atomic, it works on its own. It still dumps a whole giant output. Like, okay, if you don't purge it properly, it gives you like 55,000 lines of CSS styles. If you do purge it, it still gives you all the styles at once. Now again, what I really like about Tailwind in this case that would work for me is that, again, each of these are atomic. This hover for green doesn't require some other thing to exist. So I can safely put this into my component, just that, and it is going to work. Yay! The small demonstration I have, if I start this demo little project. Oh, compile successful. Very good. Alrighty. So we go over here. There we go. So we have my web component button, the ATA button. Where is that? Button. There you go. Button.js. So this is my web component button. We see it doesn't get styles applied to it, but we can see that the button is present. It says ATA button, but through the wonderful power of web components, it shows up as an HTML button with a shadow root and all the styles. And then we have the button that is in the light DOM, and that one has the Tailwind CSS applied to it, and of course they do work because Tailwind CSS is at the top level. Right. So does this have chance of working? Because I don't want to have this whole bundle CSS to be dumped into every single one of my components, whether it's relevant there or not. I say no. I don't want to do that. No. But this year, hooray, a new standard got implemented by Chrome, Constructable Stylesheets. And what those things let you do is apply style sheets to elements directly. So before, we used to apply element to the style sheet. We wrote something, gave it a class, and we say, hey, these are the classes that when a browser reads through this thing are going to get applied to it. So yeah, I know I just said that we're applying element to styles, maybe, but that's more or less what's happening. We're saying this is an element, these are the styles over there. This element, go pick up those styles. This element here, you go and pick out those styles over there. With constructible style sheets, it's the other way around. We have an element, and we're saying those style sheets come into here. How that's happening is we have a overall style sheet object. This can be the, I'm hard coding things at the moment, but it can be brought in from at imports. I think something like this. You can import and browser will do its thing to load the file. You can insert additional rules. You can create more than one style sheet object per page, which is great. So this style sheet is, even though it's in the same scope of the document as this JavaScript, not JavaScript, the CSS object, they're in the same scope, but they don't interfere. They're just separate JavaScript objects. And then when I go down into my web component, then I say precisely which rules from the style sheet are going to be applied here. And the fact that it's a web component is not an issue for me. The scoping is not an issue, simply because these are applied as JavaScript objects. So this way, CSS follows more JavaScript rules than CSS rules, which means that we can more conveniently play around with the scopes of JavaScript objects to bring in exactly the CSS definitions we want for the component. And not only that, this style sheet has already been interpreted as it gets created into that object. And so if I apply the same style sheet to multiple components, I don't have the issue of it being reinterpreted and pollute my DOM tree by having this style thing in every single component. So good stuff like that all around. And this is my Constructible Stylesheet demo. We can see that the button indeed works. We do not have that ugly style DOM node, even though it is whatever color that is, green, something or other. It's great. So raspberry tea, very nice. So now that we know that this can be done as of end of last year when Chrome implemented all this stuff, how can we bring Tailwind or something? I guess you could. Could you do this with Bootstrap? Could you convert Bootstrap into constructible style sheets now that I think about it? Maybe. But still, there is something about a whole bunch of styles that don't really belong to the component, but are there just because, nah, you know what? I'll stick with my original intent. Yes, I want Tailwind style-esque CSS framework to go into here. And we'll just do that. To quickly review how that works and why PurgeCSS has to be here in the first place is, again, when Tailwind gets compiled, and by the way, I only started exploring it maybe a few days ago. I haven't done anything serious with it. Not output. We want bundle. Yeah, so this is the entire CSS framework that not that. No. Where is it? The big, yeah, there we go. This 55,000 or 54,500 line thing. This gets created by Tailwind. Then, oh, okay, before we go to that, what this does is 55,000 lines. So you say, well, that's horrible to include something that massive into a live website. Well, no, what this does is it gives you an environment where you just have everything while you develop. So if you want a green button, well, you just pick the green button out of this thing, so you know it's available, you use it, great, in the development. When you're done developing, you use the PurgeCSS plugin that looks through your code, makes note of the class names that you used, and plucks out only those classes from the overall framework, Tailwind framework, that you are going to be using. So if here I'm using the green button, we see that in the bundle, which came from the Webpack, we see that the green button is there. Then I have a configuration file. No, not there. Where would that be? Post CSS configure. I have a configuration file where if I wanted to scan like JavaScript files, because notice that in my button, see I have this BG blue thing, and I don't have the blue in there. So now if I tell post CSS, purge CSS to also look in my JavaScript files to do scanning of used classes, then we should see in the final bundle blue button also appear. How do we do that? I can't remember. Let's just try this, see what happens. Or maybe actually even easier, probably just stop all of this and do a reserve. Then check bundle out again, and we now should have what's the name of that class? BG blue. Really now? Okay, well that's exciting. That should have worked. Really? Output blue, that should have gone in there. Let's see, you have components, scanning JS files. This is my JS file, that's the piece there. Let me try to do serve one more time. We'll go to bundle. Really now? Because that did used to work. Well, that's not exciting. Okay, well, we started debugging even earlier than I anticipated. Now, why would that be? Components. Try to debug that. Wait, is it supposed to be components? Yeah, components. All GS files. That's output. That's the main blue button, right? But no, I want it to be here. Oh, okay, now it's there. Okay, fine. Whatever. It's there, right? So if I tell it to scan for GS files for CSS classes, we now can see that it is indeed plugging blue out of the overall framework. But it is still in the main scope. How am I going to get it into a CSS object like this? So I guess this is where the stream will actually go into exploration of PostCSS component. Oh goodness, it took me 20 minutes to explain just why I'm doing this, and now we'll go into actually doing it. Now, I don't actually know PurgeCSS PostCSS plugin. The point of the stream is to show how I just do explorations of various code bases, because when I used to do those PHP tutorials, I occasionally get questions like, how did you actually figure out what to do with this error, whatever error that may be? Because I would show how some exceptions or errors appear in the PHP Zen framework code, and I would like fix it right away. I would sometimes leave those errors in there deliberately so that people would know how to handle those errors when they see them. But I never shown how I figured out or how I got to the point of knowing how to fix those things. So it looks like I just magically have the skill of knowing whatever possible error means. No. So here we are going to see all the pain and the carnage and misery of walking through code that I've never really seen before, because I prefer PHP. These days I prefer C# and .NET for this and that reason, but generally speaking I prefer backend work, not JavaScript work. So getting into the guts of PurgeCSS to see if we can split its output into these objects. Yeah, that I have no idea what's going to happen, or if anything going to happen at all. What I've done so far, is this the one? Right, what I've done so far is notice how I commented out taking in PurgeCSS from Webpack Loader. I took its source code for now, just stripped it out. It was just a single file. I put it into my project, PurgeCSS component. This file is compiled output of PurgeCSS repository. So it is written in Flow, I think. Then that gets compiled into JavaScript Well, since I'm just messing around with how it works, I can't really have it as a proper dependency at this point. I do have it checked out as a separate project. I just want to get a feel of how it does things. So put it into a separate file, and I've included it as a require from that file for Webpack to pick up. So that's how I set that up. So this file here is a compiled output. It is still mostly human readable despite being compiled. Actually, I do have a project. Might as well open up the one that I checked out. Yeah, so this is an actual checked out repository. I've done an npm link to it and so on and so forth. So when if I ever get to the point of understanding how it works, this would be where I would do like the tests and actually do the modifications. But we're just exploring. Right, what stage do I want to get this to? What is our goal of exploration? Not too sure yet, to be honest. The main requirement, I suppose, is to figure out which subsections of the overall bundle belong to what component. So instead of having these in one global style scope, I want to know that it is this button, this particular button.js file is the one that wants this blue and whatever else. That way, I will know what styles to apply to it. So one, I need to get, I guess, a list of styles that this particular component wants, because I think currently PurgeCSS actually loses that information, right? It just goes to every single file in a directory and then puts all the selectors into one thing, but it doesn't care where it came from. And I do care where things came from because I want to reassemble just those styles into that component. So now I guess the question there is the architecture-wise. Architecture-wise, the decision would be actually not much of a decision, come to think of it. I was thinking first having these names of styles that are popping up here to be in scope of this JavaScript constructor for the element. But then what I'm thinking would work better instead if we get PurgeCSS to keep track of where stuff actually is coming from, then what we can possibly do is have a JavaScript or a CSS style sheet JavaScript object named after it would be named after the file where those styles were discovered. Right. So if this is button CSS, if we hypothetically have this is what I currently do in my projects. Whenever I do this, I create a JS file and a corresponding CSS file. And then I do import style from, that thing. That's how I currently do it. So we want something that brings that into scope. Now, these are not going to be CSS files anymore. These are going to be objects, and they're going to be shared. So that probably means we need some kind of let's say that we need some kind of styles.js file, and let's say that this file somehow knows let's see, const styles whatever, and let's say that this thing somehow knows all the components that we have, and so we're going to have a button well, not really button style, but more like button to GS style. I'm not sure, honestly. Anyway, this is not exactly the meat of the problem here. This is just some design decisions, but essentially speaking, if I have something like new CSS style sheet here, really, hello, this is JavaScript object, not an array, right? So if I have something like this, alright, this object would be deliberately in global scope. Then when I go here, then theoretically speaking, I could have this shadow root dot what is it, apply or adopted adopted style, come on, keep up, adopted style sheets, and it would be like styles dot button, what, button G, what, why would I call it that? Holy, button, you know what, just button, good enough, button button.js, call it after the file name, right? And then this thing would have, because it's so component, so this would be something like keys named after file name. Keys named after file name. So at this point, the question is, what are the styles present in just this file name? We still don't know how to actually get those styles, and let's see if we can figure that out. But I think this is more or less what I want to be able to do. Have a component with its name matching the file name. All the styles from this file would go into some kind of style sheet registry thingy, and then I can import it into here, maybe something like that. Actually, no, that is not correct at all. No. Here is what that's not correct. That is not correct. See, you would not see this in tutorial, because tutorial would just give you a final output. No. So this is not correct, because things like blue something, red something. Okay, I guess you wouldn't have both blue and the red button, but whatever. If something here has this, and then panel has something else blue, right? So these things need to be reused. So what you would have is you would have const blue style equals new CSS style sheet. Then you would have, what else does it have? What other fascinating things does our blue background. Yeah, so this is where things get picky, or tricky rather. Blue background, rounded. Yeah, now you have this weird CSS style sheet object for every little thing, theoretically, which is not good either. But this way we can say, well, button has blue background, and this panel has blue background, but then the button also is rounded on top of it. So we're reusing a blue background style sheet object in two places. So then when it gets adopted by this shadow root DOM node, then it gets those two things. Okay, so that's what we want to accomplish, but we don't know, where did that thing go? We don't know which ones belong to a file name. Okay, so 15 minutes later we outlined more or less general direction where we want to go. Now we can see how this thing does it. Okay, so we've got at this moment two files that it's going to process. It's going to process this index.html file, and it's going to process that button.js file. Where is that? Here. Okay. I don't think I need those anymore. Okay. This is the actual thing. The actual library. So here it... Wait, what? PurgeCSS equals new PurgeCSS. Are you saying that's... Oh, right. This is the plugin for the PurgeCSS, right? Because there is PurgeCSS that does the actual parsing and knowing how to handle CSS trees, I suppose, and then it knows how to delete stuff from it. That's PurgeCSS. This is PostCSS PurgeCSS plugin. So it is a combination of the two. So it uses PurgeCSS to do something. I think that's a very big distinction. So PurgeCSS is not really the thing, at least at this point. I don't think it's the thing we want to mess with, because it's actually doing what we wanted to do, which is to parse the CSS files that we want to strip. We want to manipulate what files to pass into it and what comes out of it, and that's why we have this boundary section. Okay, so if I put breakpoint in here, let's see what am I going to get. I just put one here because I see this CSS file selectors and CSS row selectors. Let's see how it actually handles that. No idea what's going to happen. Well, at least my breakpoints work. That's already an achievement in JavaScript. Hey, breakpoints work. CSS file selectors. Where is that? Okay, so what the heck is this? We've got 91 file what? File selectors. Okay, so these are not files. I was expecting to actually see files when I saw file selectors. I thought it was going to be like, okay, index.html and you know, a 2 at most. I'm like, 91, where did the 91 files come from? No. Okay, so this seems to be selectors out of a file, and then we got some entries there. Okay, HTML, language, so these are our HTML. Ooh, this is interesting. Attach shadow. How is that a selector? What is this thing doing in selectors? Well, that's fascinating. PurgeCSS extract file selector. File format what's the purpose of this? File format contents. Okay, so these are the files that I was expecting to see. Okay, file format content, not contacts, alright, contents, there you go. Alright, so these two things, this is what we are inspecting. Extractors, I don't have any custom extractors. Well, that would be a thing. Maybe I don't need to modify the whole library, I just need custom extract, and then that's it, get it over with. CSS file selectors. Okay, so these are selectors coming out of it. Oh, raw selectors got nothing in it. Okay. So these are selectors. Wait, are these XPath selectors by any chance? Slash button, that is awfully XPath-like. Okay, fair enough. So this is the main HTML page. This is more or less what I would expect. But what is this down here? What is that? Constructible. Wait, did it actually... Oh, you know what? This is... No, I didn't tell it to do this file. I did not tell it to do that file. I told it to only do index.html specifically, so it's not that. So what is this? Create element? Is that what I have here? What? You think that this here, this code here, is a selector? Would. That's a comment. Test with Constructable Stylesheet. Did this thing tokenize the entire thing? Is this a tokenizer? And by tokenizer, I mean just a dumb parser that breaks things up into these... why do I have a headset on? A tokenizer is this process of compiling where it takes the entire input and it separates every command, so to speak, but it doesn't really know what that command means yet. It just knows that there is this word here, there is this. I guess, okay, I really shouldn't have said command. I should have just said a label or something. I'm not sure. A token, right? Tokenizer makes tokens. The point of tokenizer is to isolate each of the keywords. That's what I was looking for, keywords. In the code. Actually, no, not even keywords, because keyword is something very specific that you can't do. Just tokens. It isolates every little chunk of your source code into token, but it doesn't really know what it is yet. And then it passes it over to, is it Lexa or is it something else that actually figures out what the meaning of those tokens are. And that's what this looks like to me here. It's a tokenizer where it still just picked everything up that was to pick up in just a dumb way. Created this giant array of every single word that there is. And I guess after this, it's gonna try to figure out, are these CSS selectors or what? Because even in the main file, Tailwind test with Constructable Stylesheet. Yeah, see, like, these are not tags. These are not CSS selectors. These are just dumb tokens. Now later, the way the interpreter, that's it, the way the interpreter would, is it actually interpreter? Whatever the components of compilers are, then it would later go figure out and say, okay, so this token title is probably a reserved keyword, therefore it's the beginning of title text. It would ignore all of this, and then it would know that it's terminated because of the slash in front of it. Okay, that's interesting. Well, okay, not really interesting, but confusing and annoying, because what would this tokenizer do? And then it tokenized the whole JavaScript code too. Okay, so is it going to, like, at some point figure out which one of these tokens are CSS styles names? Okay, I have a question then. If those are tokens, what are these? Let's see, do we have something that's called BG green? Okay, we do. So it's a class token class. Okay, so I'm going to make a guess that at some point it's going to go through all of this thing. It's going to go through this token list, and it's going to say, okay, this is the beginning of class. Give me all the tokens between, what is this, position 22, and how does it end it? Really, it just goes right back. What? Wait, how would it know that this class equals class? How would it know that this is terminated? Okay, that is so crazy. As a class, so that's this token. The only way it can know that these are CSS class names is if it would have a terminating point where it says, okay, this is where class begins, this is where class ends, everything in between is a name of CSS class. Let me extract those from the style sheet. But if there is no termination, it's just going to go on, because this could be class name too. That could be a class name, that could be a class name. But I know that they're not because, well, I'm looking at an HTML code here. So that is bizarre. How the heck does this thing use this? Okay. Alright, let's just, before I go into... Actually, okay, let's see what the heck this does. Okay, so now it's taking these token things. And it's still no, I don't know why it's calling them selectors. It's concatenate. Okay, so it takes an empty array concatenating to consume. Okay, so I guess. Okay, so it must be doing something. I have an idea what the row selectors are. I think row selectors must be. You know what? I don't know anything at this point. I don't know. I'm not even going to try guessing anymore, because this is just crazy. So, that's going. So that's there. CSS selectors, it's another set. Okay, same 91 objects. Okay, fine. So we actually didn't get much more interesting than we did before. Okay, so let's just continue. PurgeCSS gets selectors. Okay, this has no output. Is there documentation? Okay, well. String and selectors. PurgeCSS selectors CSS. Okay, so this has no output, which means that it is doing something on the instance of PurgeCSS itself. Yeah, don't really want to modify PurgeCSS library, if for no other reason that I don't know how to include it into my test project like this. I don't know how to debug like TypeScript. I don't know how to debug the stuff inside of Node modules directly. That's what I'm saying. So that's why I don't want to do PurgeCSS as a whole library to debug. That would be mildly miserable at this point. Okay, so we're doing some keyframes, don't know what that is. Doing some fonts. Okay, then it's checking see if I have any rejected. I think that's a configuration option I can put into here, like what am I rejecting or something or other. Result message push plugin. Okay, so at this point it has actually removed stuff from the file. Wait, whoa. At what point did it even pick up the CSS file to remove from? Eh? I don't know. Because so far all I've seen is it getting the CSS file selectors. Wait, what were the CSS selectors again? Oh, that's this stuff, including my JavaScript tokens. So what are these? CSS options. Like, how does it actually know to look at wait, what is it supposed to look at? Bundle CSS. Wait, what's the magic of it knowing that it's supposed to strip this one? Because this is the Tailwind overall file. Normalize. Okay, that must be something that Tailwind built. Let me just check my Webpack file real quick. Post CSS loader, post CSS config. Oh, wait. Okay, so this is your require Tailwind. That's nice and empty. Okay. We've got post CSS. Okay, so post CSS must somehow know that stuff is gonna come out of this file here. Whatever. Let's just assume Tailwind CSS somehow tells it to go and look in here. Okay, fair enough. I can live with that. Then PurgeCSS selectors removed. Okay, so at this point it already knows how many things were removed, and it's doing it on a state of PurgeCSS object. So it was instructed to do it, but we never saw output from it. Okay, remove. What's a keyframe? So it must have removed it at this point. Okay, so it looks like it doesn't output stuff. It processes and it keeps the results within its own instance, as opposed to giving you the output. And because a lot of the times you have frameworks, in this case, you would say, okay, so PurgeCSS is capable of going through your CSS style sheets and only giving what you want, right? And it would like actually output it. PurgeCSS like give me only the style sheets I want, and it would be the output here. And that's what that's what I honestly expected to see. For I don't know what reason, no reason, but I just made an assumption that I'm actually going to get the styles that I want as an output here, and then have it dumped. And then I would have a nice and convenient way to intercept them and assign them file names. But it looks like it's going to be more complicated than that. Of course it will. So if PurgeCSS does that. Okay, so that's an interesting question then. So should there then be an instance of PurgeCSS per file processed? Now that's an existential meaning of life question. Because if I really am not in a mood to go into how PurgeCSS does stuff, then can I scan for the files? Okay, do I have actual list of files that I'm being scanned? I know it gives me the configuration of which file needs to be done, but not like actual files. Ops.css or PurgeCSS.options, constructors, content. Ooh, so I don't even have control of the files being scanned at this point. Well, that's inconvenient, because I see. I thought that the PurgeCSS PostCSS plugin would actually figure out the. Because see, this is misleading, in my opinion. You have the. Actually, no, it's not misleading. No, it's not. No, because you have PurgeCSS. These are the configurations. No, it's fine. Snap. That means that I have to go inside of PurgeCSS to see what file. All this thing does is it passes those options into Purge. Well, that's borderline useless to me. Because I thought that, okay, if I have a list of files, at least to get started as an experiment, I can, for each file, create an instance of purge, get the CSS selectors that I want out of it. They are going to be duplicated per file, but then I can merge them or something. No. No, I don't know what to do then. I love this cup. This cup is great. Too bad the cup wouldn't know the answer to this question. But then again, I never asked the cup for advice. Maybe if I would, it would tell me, but let's see if I can figure this out on my own. Okay. So at this point, it seems to have modified instance of PurgeCSS to do something. I don't honestly know what the keyframe is. Purge keyframes. I thought keyframes had something to do with animations. This one is hopefully obvious, but who knows. So I'm thinking this has to do with animations or thought, but maybe gets here. Yeah, you know what? Let's just go inside there. Let's just go in that function and see what the heck happens. This is the step into. Okay, where does this put us? This looks like a, is this the compiled file? Yeah, it is. That's a compiled file. Okay, so flow typed, it's made in flow. How does it actually get created? What is this? Phantom children, that's great. Don't know what this is. Nope. Roll up. Okay, so this is test runner. Build is rollup config.js. Does this even matter? I don't even see rollup here, so it looks like a lot of them. What? Development code has been stripped out of here, which is expected. Okay, so this is combination of flow and TypeScript. Or just TypeScript or flow. Anyway, it compiles to this. Okay, so key. Okay, so this must be the compiled. See, why don't these things compile to CSS classes already? Because yeah, this looks like a loader would treat this as a function name. Ugh. Yeah, get CSS selectors, that's the function name. That gets converted into the key name to execute as a lambda function. Not a lambda function, function pointer. Whatever. Okay, fine, whatever. Okay. What else does it want to do? So root. What's a root in this case? Semicolon true. What? Ooh, that's a lot of nodes. Hey, 2006. That almost looks like a year. Oh boy, that's a lot of. Ooh. That looks like a CSS root. Okay, so I think we came across an actual output of the CSS file being tokenized passed to, you know what? What are stages of compile? I need to stop embarrassing myself more than I already am and review this real quick. Lexical syntax analysis, semantic, intermediate code. No, that's lexical static analysis. What stage of the thing this is when you compile CSS? Is that, what is that? It's the same damn page. Lexical, syntax, semantic. Okay, we don't care about this point. We don't care about this. Uh-oh, let me bring this up. Hmm. Lexa output? Okay, this must, okay, so if the first stage is Lexa, then this is the Lexa's output. Bring that up. Yeah, if the first stage is Lexa output, and then syntax. So this is the output of Lexa, where it took the CSS file and put it as node names into the thing, into the array. Okay. Whoa. What? Hello. You didn't bother walking through it at all? Okay, let's do that again. That just jumped right to the end of the function right away. Well, this isn't going anywhere. Yay. Oh, maybe I need to stop into it. Oh, God. Oh. Okay, that was just a bundle of compiled code I didn't want to deal with, but okay, let's just do it one more time. So we're going here, we're going root.walk. Yeah, I don't want to deal with the source code for walk. Like, how do I get out of here? Nah. Okay. Let's go inside here then. There. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we've got our Lexa output, so now it must be going into syntax analyzer stage where, yeah, there we go, evaluate rule, okay. Node type rule. Okay, well that's a comment. Yeah, comment, when did a comment? Something that we expected happened at last. Yay. Well, is ignore annotate, what? And exit again. Okay, well at least we got this one. Rule. Okay, how? Okay, I'm going to take a wild guess that rule is the thing that we're looking for because that's what CSS things are. They're rules. Although I am also curious to know what is ATR rule. Okay, so we've got a rule. Type rule. What is it? What? HTML is a node of a type. Okay, whatever. I don't care anymore. Okay, I guess in a way it makes sense because those tags also double as CSS rules, don't they? Because CSS things, they're both class names and they're tag names. I mean, you apply CSS rule to a tag name It's one of the possible selectors, therefore it must be treated as a rule. Okay, fair enough. That's interesting. So I guess in our design we should pay attention not only to let's see, close some of this. So does that mean I should care about these as well? Because I was only going to pay attention to these. But now that I have seen what PurgeCSS does with its Lexan rules and how it picks the styles out, these here might also be important. Now, yeah, of course, there are possible selectors that target specifically DOM nodes, but I'm thinking for myself, if I exclusively use classes only, then I may not care about those. But what if the framework uses node names? Let's see. Is there? Oh, it does. It does. So it's not only paying attention to class names, it also pays attention to tag names to do stuff. Okay. So that's interesting. Makes things nice and more complicated, but okay. Return evaluate rule. Okay, let's see what does it evaluate. Oh, that's a flashback to that equals this. All right, so annotation, comment again. Wait, why are we in a comment? Oh, that's the, wait, no, wait, what? Okay, I got lost there for a second. If our rule is, okay, we're currently sitting in H1, right? Our node type rule node type is rule. Selector is H1. Then why pret L are you telling me that annotation is comment? Correct font size and what? H1. Oh, I see. Okay, correct. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. So it took the comment from. So it must have took this node as a single thing. Okay. Correct the size and margin. Okay, right, that's the same comment. Okay, so that's annotation. Okay, so that must be the annotation for this node. Okay, you know what? I should have got onto that. Yep. That's what annotation means. Literally the comment. Okay, moving on. That's the parent node. Nodes.node. Font size. Okay, so that's this CSS selector right there. Okay, so here it interpreted it. Very good. It's not an ignore list, so off we go. Annotation. Okay, so it strips annotations from it. Or at least I imagine that. Let's see, node dot. The annotation is still there. What? Oh, annotation is ignore annotation. Okay, that must be an option somewhere. Whatever. Okay, so I guess it removes it if someone chose to remove them. Okay, fair enough. Keep selector. Selectors parsed. Ooh. Okay, so just before we go into the walk function, so at this point, it picked up a selector. So somehow it started with h1, whatever. It started with h1, and is at this stage is gonna figure out if we should keep. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of junk down here. I don't want to go through all that. I thought I would only have to modify this file. Yeah. So we're doing. Okay. I want to know what is selectors passed. Selectors parsed. Come on, what is it? No, won't tell me. Nope, it won't. Okay, fine. Oh, I was outside of the scope. I didn't notice. I thought already was in that function. Okay, fine. Never mind. Okay, so that's the. Okay, so this is absolutely Lexa. I called it parser, I think, originally by accident. Yeah, that's the Lexa. Because this is very typical of Lexa output. Tells you where in file it actually found that thing. Selectors in rule. What's our current selector? Okay, our current selector is this h1 thing. Okay. It's a tag. So being a tag. Do I care? I don't think so. No, shouldn't matter. Selectors in rule, select a parent, parent value root. What's this? Anyway, selector to type equals selector, which it is. Oh, that's a big if statement. Iterate a normal completion. I'm not even sure what I'm expecting to find at this point. I'm hoping to find a hint that tells me that this selector h1 came out of a particular. Wait, actually, I'm not even going to find h1. So okay, so I'm expecting to lose h1 because I don't have any h1s here. Therefore, this one I expect to be stripped at some point. So just for the fun of it, let's see at what point does it get stripped. Select as in rule, push values, so select push value selectors. What? What's that for? Okay. Selectors in the rule. I don't know what that's for. Ooh. Oh boy. That's a long for loop condition. And it's compiled code. Uh-oh. We're going to different selector? Yep, we did. We somehow got out of the h1 selector and we're now at hr. Okay, again, I know we don't have any HR, but I'm just curious. At what point does it destroy or disregard a selector? I think last time it was around here somewhere. Okay, so that got reset. Selectors in rule. Yeah, I'm not sure what selectors in rule is supposed to do. Oh, there's a comment here for us to read. Let's see what it says. Ooh. Test if we do not have a pseudo class parameter. Oh. Really, that's all this does? Test if we do not have a pseudo class parameter. Okay. Whatever. Well, we don't. And that gets us... What? Okay, so we got out of here. And we're going into finally. If iterate normal completion, return null, Okay, so didn't return anything, although... No, maybe that's more compiled code from ES6 stuff. Ugh. Ooh, keep selected, keep something. Yeah, this must mean something good, whether we want to keep it or not. Yay. Should keep selector. I bet this is going to be false. Yep. Logic prevails. If no keep selector, so you get rid of it and you remove it from... Ooh, this is interesting. Selector.remove. So it's not saying, hey CSS3, why don't you remove this selector? It's saying selector, remove yourself from the CSS3. Wait, what? Unless that is... Wait, that's not a native selector class now, is it? By any chance? There's no native selector object in JavaScript. No, there isn't. That's a post CSS selector something or other. Yeah. Oh, type definition. Okay, hopefully it's a custom type. Because if I go inside of it now... Oh my god. Nope. Really? Is that an actual thing? JavaScript selector object. No, that's a query selector, but is there an actual selector? Because how the hell does it have a .remove option? And it gone into Node.js. Is that like Node.js runtime Node.js? Like what is this? Yeah, this is Node.js runtime. I think? No, wait. No, this is the... damn it, this is the parts3 node.js, not Node.js, the flipping... this Node.js. Ah, okay. But then why doesn't it show me where it is located? Let's just see what happens. What's up here? Create class. Okay. I'm gonna go by the assumption that this is the not compile 3. Yeah, compile syntax 3 node. Okay, so it is actually doing that. So when you say node remove yourself, it actually does go to the parent and remove itself. Okay, fine. You know what? Okay, so that's just a convenience method. Fair enough. That's just a convenience method. Okay, we're going back up there. Let's get back down into... What? What? Come. Okay. There. Rejected. Okay. What I want to do is, I was at first going to see if I can chase this particular class in that syntax tree that it navigates. But I'm thinking instead, since I know h1 is like one of the first things it analyzes, why don't I just create an actual h1 tag here? So it's going to be styled. So will be styled. So I'm expecting that should keep a boolean to be true at this point. Okay, it's true. Very good. So being true is going to skip over that. Yep. Post CSS sync. Oh, that's interesting. Selector.remove. Okay, where is the root here? Okay, so that's interesting. So it has the overall CSS tree as one would expect. Very good. And then it removes nodes from it. For some reason, I expected it to parse the CSS file and then take nodes from it and then append the nodes from the file into the end result. But no, it seems to go the other way around. It has the tree of all the nodes and it removes them. Now it transfers them over into the output. So that's what this line 856 does. Is that good or is that bad? I think the answer to that would be in this function here, should keep selected, because that, oh, I see. So this, I bet these here one of them is the parsed syntax tree of the CSS framework, and the other one is that weird node list from that we discovered earlier way back when here. And in fact, it puts that into here as well as a parameter. So I bet this is where it knows that. These are my... Okay, so that means this here could be a very good entry point. Not entry point, but this here could be... Here could be a spot where CSS selectors is taken only from specific file of known name. And why that's useful, yeah, here could be a spot where CSS selectors, yeah, this variable, is taken only from a specific file of known name. Then removal of... Ooh, but that won't work, because if you do it per file, and it actually removes the nodes that it did not find in the file, then when they go to the next file, and it has other nodes, those would already be removed. So the purge CSS at that point would have to reparse the CSS file. And I do not want to reparse the CSS file for every JavaScript component and HTML page I have in a project. That's insane. Easy, but insane. So, okay, anyway, I'm going by a theory anyway, so maybe that's not even the case. Let's see what, okay, you know what, do it one more time. That's a thing. I don't care about that anymore. I don't think I care about that anymore. I don't care. Right. No, don't care about that. No. Keep selected. There we go. What is this selectors? So selectors in rule. What? How did we get to HTML? Okay, this is the next version of the HTML and JavaScript. I still don't know why it's called selectors. Actually, no, okay. I think I know why they call it selectors now. They call it selectors because you can theoretically apply any CSS style to any one of these tokens. Wait, that is so silly. Because if it doesn't distinguish between tokens that come from HTML file and JavaScript files, it means that I can literally write CSS style sheet for JavaScript keywords. Like, I just want to do this as an experiment because that looks interesting. So, if that's really the case, if I have attached shadow, it's one of the tokens that it detects. So if I put it into, just override something from here. Wait, what's this? Oh, that's a media. Okay, well, just out of curiosity, right? So attach shadow. Wait, what? How to do CSS again? Jesus. Okay, attach shadow. I don't know, something stupid. Whatever. So if I do this now, yeah, the thing is, it's not working, but at the same time, I also had this problem before where I didn't pick this up like right away either. So I don't know, just delete this. Actually, no, delete that. Delete that. Run this real quick. And also run this one more time. Actually, you know what? Stop that probably. Yeah, should see bundle. Come on, bundle, pop up. Hello. Really? Let me do that one more time. What the hell is going on there? Go to there. I want this. How do you make bundle.css appear again? Webpack.js. I am so lost at this point. I don't see why this thing here pops up so inconsistently. Let me just see what that looks like. No? Come on, you can do it. Ooh. How does that even work? You go here. Where are you getting? You have to be getting this from somewhere. You have to be... Okay, let me do that experiment again one more time. So we go to PurgeCSS. Okay, if I take this out, then I should not see blue. Okay, I don't see blue. If I put this back, then I should see blue again. Okay, I see it. But I don't see the crazy experiment of attached shadow. What? That's insane. So even though that is passed in as one of the tokens to use to decide if it should be capped. Oh my god. Oh. Okay. One more idea. I want to try with this insanity. H1, HR, pre, and A. That is these things here, right? Yeah, HTML. What? HR, pre, A, and this one should be next, right? Wait, yeah, another A tag, or same A tag rather. So yeah, I'm assuming it's going to do this one. Okay, right. So yeah, this is doing it in the order of that. And I believe this one should not be capped. Right? This is not going to be capped. Yep. Okay. I must have missed it then. Okay, so if it's not... So even though that was a token... If the token from the parsed used files here match the tokens from here, that's still not enough then. Ooh, and the stream is going for 1 hour and 40 minutes now. Let's give this a few more minutes before we give up for the day. Keep selected through. This is for HTML. I want to get down to my H1 tag. Okay, so that's the H1. We know we should keep it because we put it into here. Yes. Selectors is where is the selectors coming from again? Selectors. Select what? Where is this thing coming from? Come on. Oh, so jeez, right here. Okay, so select as HTML. Right, this is the 96 that came from the page structure. Yes. Selectors in rule H1. So the rule is the node from the syntax tree of the CSS file. Okay, let's go inside, and it should now iteration. Okay, more damn compiled code. Oh, that's my selector. Is selector whitelisted? Selector has gone. Whoa. Uh-oh. Nope, we lost it already. Okay, so keep selectors there. But this is where the problem is. Regardless of whether we can follow this code at this point or not, the problem is every time it scans a file, it removes selectors as opposed to add selectors to the output. It does it by exclusion as opposed to inclusion. Which means that if I feed it one file at a time, the second file and so on will not have the selectors needed because they would have been stripped already from the act of parsing the first file. And we definitely long ago lost where those selectors even come from. We have no idea at this point at line 852, we have no idea where any chunk of these selectors came from. We just have all 96 of them. Doesn't matter what file it came from. And then the overall root is going to be I still want to know where is this actually going to not keep necessarily. Actually, no. Does it matter if it compares? Selectors in rule. We have our. Okay, I don't think I should care. I don't think I care about how this function works. Why I don't care about this function works? Because what all I care about is whether it decided that the selector should be kept or not. And then somehow at this point maybe decide the source. No, that doesn't make sense. Because then maybe I do care about what this function does. Because what I want to know, what file that selector came from. So I can assemble some map of these selectors came from this file. And then all of those selectors I can group into the CSS style sheet one and then do the adoption of style sheets. That's the third step, but the first step is to know where the selectors came from. Do I know that? If I have the keep selector here, and if it is true, right? Okay, so if it's not true, then you just, dump it. But if it is true, hypothetically speaking, if keep selector, I know there's just, actually, you know what? There's already if keep selector here. Oh gosh, there's so much junk here. If keep selector, then it does stuff. What? Font face. Okay, we don't care about fonts. You remove empty rules. Evaluate, add rule, and register it for future reference. Node post CSS at node. Do you care about that? I don't know. So hypothetically, if keep selector then what? I'm not sure. If I want to keep the selector, I kind of want to know where node came from. What if I never know where the node came from? What if I just know all the CSS selectors that have remained? Can I then go backwards and decide if those remaining CSS things match to any of my files? So if I have a tree of CSS rules, right? I have a tree of CSS rules, which I don't think there is an API to expose it, but I'm going to guess that there is some property here somewhere, because it does the whole selector.remove. Not that. This.parent. So there is a root node. Maybe what I can do is let it do the removal, whatever, let it do the removal, and then I look at the remaining abstract tree of the CSS styles and see if I can match those back into the files. And so my original idea was in this thing that eventually calls this, to take the source files that have been, take the source files that want CSS, so these things, take the source files that want CSS, and then match the components, not the, sorry. The original idea was to take the source files that want CSS, and as those CSS selectors have been discovered, give them to those files. But what if it could be easier to take the final AST CSS tree and then work backwards and see which source files actually want this. Have the CSS output search for those selectors in my sources. How is that for an idea? Would that be easier? Not have the source files request the CSS selectors from the parsing output, but have the parsing output go see what it matches in the source files. And then wherever they match, push them into the adopted style sheet. I have a suspicion that could be easier. Let's clean up these tabs for now. That's the removal, that's the keep. Okay. Is there an API of sorts where I can grab abstract syntax tree of the CSS files? So at this point, I have the CSS selectors. Okay, you know what? Before we even go there, let's forget about CSS for a second. Let's just completely forget about CSS for a second. Or for many seconds, because this is going to take another long time. So let's forget CSS for many seconds. And let's see if we can figure out what files are the selectors coming from. So we have the CSS file selectors business here. Can we tell where each of those selectors are coming from? Because if we can, then we can take the CSS abstract syntax tree and then having the map of files to CSS selector, right? So you have map of files with CSS selectors here, and then you have abstract syntax tree of actual CSS over here. You can match them by keys of CSS selector, and then by extension you would then know what file it came from and who to adopt it to. So if we go in that direction, let's then say, hey, selectors that are being used, tell me where you came from. Let's go there instead. Where are we? Here. Step into. So I got distracted there for a second. Okay, back to this. Our selectors, okay, so we begin with a new empty set, which I'm going, ES6 set is just, like, it's a more memory efficient version of array, isn't it, right? Set, for the viewers. Okay, set object let to store unique values of any type with the primitive values object. Okay, object type, right, okay, so this should be memory leak safe array, because if it does objects, like if it's a set of objects, it's not like it's going to copy those objects into that array, it's only going to point to those objects, I think. Anyway, shouldn't matter. The point is it's just a bunch of stuff. We have iterator normal what? I don't this compiled code. I wish I knew how to debug node modules directory more efficiently. Okay, let's get to this compiled code. And global file. Ooh, file names. Ooh, file names. We want file names. I have no idea what this does, but I just saw that with file names and I got excited because I want file names, but I have no idea what this actually does. Alright. File names dot push. Oh, this is globin. Yeah. No, it's boring. Globin is simply act of expanding these wildcards. That's all that does. That's glob. So it looks at the what do I want to say? It looks at the regex pattern at the specifying files to scan, and that's it. That's all that is. So that's boring. Undo excitement. Okay, now I got actual file. Okay, yeah, that's our file. All right. Content. Okay, so it just reads the entire thing into memory. Well, you know, good thing I have one of those. Okay. Selectors. Okay, this is where things hopefully should get actually exciting, not the fake exciting. Oh my god, this is going into second hour, but I think I am a bit more onto something than I was in the first hour. Because I think I can actually make this idea work, I think. Alright, so, geez, this has to be like this deep into the line, so it's a pain to put a breakpoint in there. Two consumable array, don't care. That's just wrappers for convenient iterators. Shouldn't matter. Okay, extract selectors. You know what? Come on, really? No. You stupid piece of stupidness. Okay. Can't find declaration to go to. Alright, let's just go inside and hopefully we get there. Okay, no. Yes, extract selectors. Okay, good. Let's put a breakpoint there so we don't get. Okay. I thought it was the same function for a second called recursively. No, it's not. Okay. So content is the whole file we're parsing. Extractor is, I believe that is, okay, that looks exactly like this. So this is the extractor here, okay. Undo that. I almost want to go on a break. Well, let's see how far I can do this. I want to get my tea refilled in my fancy cup here. Because I've been just chatting for 2 hours and my throat is beginning to feel it. But before we do that, This is exciting times going on here. Selectors, array selectors. What is this? Okay, it already. What? So, how did you manage to do that? Oh, these here. These here. Okay, I was like, how the heck did you manage to do it already? I just noticed there is function calls on the side of this ternary operator. Okay. Extract the content, extract the content. What's the point of this? Extract selectors. Because this to me already looks like a bunch of selectors. So what the heck else are you extracting? Oh, okay, this must be extracted here and then select. Okay, so you do the extraction. Why? Could there be multiple levels of extractions? Array selector for each selector, selectors add select. What? If you already extracted selectors from this poor file, what are you looping over it for again to do more additions to it? Okay, what? Array selector. Oh, you're transferring from array into a set. Oh. Why couldn't you go to set directly? Wait, what? And then you did. Okay, I guess just delete some empty thing. Okay, so for whatever reason, it has to write into an array. And then, okay, is this going to do by copy or by reference? Because, you know what? I don't think I care. I don't think I care. What I care about is that these selectors are now known for this specific file. If I go forward one more time, my content is now the JavaScript file because, yeah, we're trying to style our JavaScript keywords or something. I don't know. By the way, this file just randomly appeared again. I don't get it. Sometimes it appears, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know what's going on there. Where am I going with this? I want to know if the caller of this thing, I want to know if the caller of that thing. Also, should I be having this running at the same time? Let me stop it just in case. What I want to... Oh, come back. What I want to know is if the caller of this... Oh, that's in PurgeCSS file. That's the one I don't want to modify. I don't want to make a library that spans two libraries. I don't want to make something that is both an extension to PurgeCSS components and an extension to PurgeCSS. I don't want to do that. That's miserable. I did that before with some of the Zend components, where you make a plugin for something which requires plugin for like 4 other things, and they need to be merged and versioned just exactly the correct order. Oh man, just no. Really don't want to do that. Okay, this is the place I had that file globin, right? Where was that? Yeah, so this is the globin thing for files. Okay, so this is our selectors. We get the sets. Okay, so I want to know, is there a point where it merges all the selectors for every file into a single set. Yeah, this is selectors or set. I forgot, whatever. This is a for loop. Selectors equals, that's override, not an append. What? Selectors equals new set. Okay. Selectors equals new set. Then you're saying it is a new set again. Oh, concat. Okay, concat. There we go. I see it now. Okay, so we're taking the... Yeah. So we're concatenating every time. And then creating new memory space for it. I guess. That's the best we can do. Allocate it and then move it over every time. That's whatever. Thankfully, this is not done at production per request. This is only compile time. Good grief. Okay, but I think we have an opportunity to know the file. I have a mouse to point at stuff. Why am I using the finger? We have the file name. And we have the selectors that came from that file. So this is where, okay, so this is really the meat of the problem that we have. We don't want this to concat with previous selectors. This is where we want to write our extension for. I think we finally found it 2 hours later. Well, actually, no. Hour and a half later, we found it. The first 20 minutes, I was just rambling on about the web components and style sheets. This is what we want to override somehow, because it is concatenating all the selectors from all the files, losing information where they came from. So if we keep this as a separate mapping of what bunch of selectors came from what file, let's see, how would that work? Hypothetically speaking, let's see, do I have anything secret over here? Okay, just my, whatever. Okay, so what we basically want is, if we have selectors, now, important distinction that we learned here, there are, what were those things called that were selectors that came from CSS files? Because I thought these selectors here originally were CSS files, but no, these selectors here are actually DOM nodes selectors. Not DOM node selectors, the tokens from the source files. So these selectors that are tokens from HTML, JS source files. And this is in PurgeCSS line 673 compiled version. Extract file selector. Okay, let's make some quick notes here. So selectors object, tokens, right. So what we want is selectors, whatever, just pseudocode in here. So we have selectors. Let's say that we have them mapped to, let's say, I don't know, panel, set of stuff. Actually more like this, whatever. So panel is going to be set of selectors. And what else I have? I have TSG, just numeric, whatever. Numeric, right? That's my component. So panel and numeric. So this is my set of stuff, right? Okay, now we have the CSS AST. If we leave it, leave as is, let it remove whatever it wants to remove. So we have the final AST stuff, and then we can say that Okay, let's see. We have a set of. So the panel would consist of div title, actually title and panel body, and numeric is going to have input and panel numeric set input. I'm losing it. Label. Right, so these are our selectors, and these are the components that I use most often in my projects: the panel and the numeric. Now that we have the AST, it has a bunch of nodes and selectors, right? So it itself is going to have title, and it itself is going to have panel body. Actually, this is more of a class, and this is more of a node, and this is more of a node, and this is more of a this is outside of the screen. I'm so sorry. There you go. Input and dot label. All right. So we have that stuff there. We now should be able to create array per selectors such that CSS definition of node of its AST node is adopted to I'm jumping ahead there. Create array per selectors. Create array of selectors matching no. See, this confuses me that there is selectors, but then these are also selectors. Most of these damn things are selectors. Create array of CSS nodes. Create array of CSS AST nodes. Important distinction. Create array of CSS AST nodes per selectors map. Per selectors map key or whatever. Okay, so create array of CSS AST nodes per selectors selectors. Create array of CSS AST nodes per selectors map key, so that this array could be adopted to element the map key is pointing to. There we go. This can actually get us somewhere after I'm going to get my tea, because I am going to die and I need a small break. Let me see if I can create let's see, what does this do? Can I let's just do that. And mute the mic. So I'll be back. Let's see, back in a bit. Let's say it's now 9:40. Holy hell. It's 9:40. Let's say that I will be back at 9. I don't know. 10 minutes too long, but 5 minutes is too short. You know what? Let's just say 9:50, which is 21:50. Back in a bit at 20. Let's see. Be back in a bit at some professional streaming going on right here. Back in a bit at 21:50 EST. Okay. Whew. Good thing I put it for 10 minutes, not 5. Yeah, that 5 minutes disappeared so fast. Alrighty. Alright. Looks like we're back enough. Let's see where I want to finish today off. So we know the point at which file names are lost. But I guess we don't necessarily know how to not lose them without modifying this thing here. A little, actually no, is that going to be a problem? Because I thought for a second that if this thing becomes a map of selectors to file names as opposed to just all the selectors at once, then PurgeCSS would have to know how to iterate key value pairs, right? See, right now it's kind of convenient because when PurgeCSS, at what point was that? Geez, I forgot now. There was this point, was it extract selectors? Was it like should keep or something? Should keep. Yeah, this one. So at this point, selectors in rule, these are my selectors, should keep. Whoa. Really, that's a public method. That's a public method? Okay. Okay, so that's the public method, alright. Being a public method, that is that useful? But okay, we'll put that on a stack, so to speak. Come back to this in a second. We have our selectors here. Right now, the come on. Alright, right now, wait, what? Oh yeah. Right now, let's see, what is this use? Selectors and content has unescaped selectors. So right now it sees it as a single level flat map to know whether the selector coming in from the abstract syntax tree of CSS file should be kept or not. Go away. Really, that's now on my selection history. Fine. If I am to make that thing into don't want to see that. Let me just fix my mouse clicking history so I can navigate this better. Alright, so should keep selectors, then you click here, and now I can navigate. There we go. Now I can navigate better. There we go. Okay, so before I get distracted on that, we need, not need, but we would have to somehow let PurgeCSS know how to do a has on a map that is not flat. Assuming has, whatever has is not able to do deep search. Also, it wouldn't be a set anymore now, would it? Because right now it's a set of objects which are also memory leak safe as far as I understand. Could be wrong, but assuming. It would no longer be a set, it would be a map. And if most of the code assumes it's a set, converting that set into an array of sets. Ugh. I don't know. Does ES6 have anything, just an off chance? Set of sets. Is that a thing? Like, is that a thing we can do? It's an iterable. Maps are not iterable. Not in the sense that you would require. No, it's more just a... they don't seem to be related for what we need. Wait, set has keys? What? Item of my set. Console. Wait, set can be keyed? What? Those are not keys. So what the heck is this? For let item offset. What is this? Oh, this is a... I thought this was the set. Oh, yeah. This is the third member of the set that has these three. I thought this was the set itself. I totally, absolutely did not see these two here. Okay, never mind. Okay, so that doesn't help. No, the reason why I was saying set of sets is if we look at if we think about the concept of iterators. Iterators and arrays and the actual storage is actually a separate thing. When you do a for each of something, you are actually using an iterator object. That's its own thing. That's your iterator object here, and that's the storage chunk of memory over here. And the iterator knows how to navigate. So this iterator knows how to navigate chunks of memory. When you realize that's all iterator is, it actually doesn't matter if you're iterating over an array or an object or collection of objects or collection of or arrays. Because if iterator is just a thing that knows how to navigate addresses of memory one after another, and all you theoretically have to do, well, not theoretically actually, it does happen a lot in practice, all you really have to do is to say, okay, here is the iterator for these selectors, and as you cycle through them, element number 1 is element number 1 here, element number 2 is element number 2 here, but element number 3 is actually element number 1 in this chunk over there. But the thing that actually does the call to the iterator doesn't really care about that. Iterator takes all the complicated details of calculating the next position in memory of where to get the element from. So if sets are not iterators, but they're just storages, and then this thing actually does an iteration or creates its own iteration over that storage, then we can't do it. If this thing here was an iterator to selectors, as opposed to an actual storage of selectors, this would have been a trivial problem. If this was an iterator to storage, then we give it whatever the heck we want, and our iterator would just know how to navigate all the levels of our source code to give it the final collection of selectors. But because this thing wants an actual full storage, not just an iterator, well, Nothing we can do. So, is there anything else we can do? Besides drink tea. Well, you know what they say in Britain. What do they say in Britain actually? It's like anything can be solved with a hot cup of tea. That's what Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy did. They just solved everything. That all the problems they ever had, they solved it with a hot cup of tea. So I don't know. Hmm. I'm just collecting my thoughts here right now because I am slightly out of ideas. Well, not out of ideas in that like I'm totally stuck, because I just got unstuck by, thinking of alternative way to match the two trees, but this here is a slightly stumbling block for me because it creates iterators over the storage as opposed to accepting an iterator. Which means that if I was to do this, I would have to modify. No, I just don't want to do that. So this here, file. Okay, so this here is our file selectors. CSS selectors. Right, so file selectors get comboed with whatever this is. Gives us overall CSS selectors. And then we don't see the CSS files here. PurgeCSS, I'm just recapping for myself. PurgeCSS actually holds up the abstract syntax tree of stuff. Okay, which I don't even know if I can get. In the worst case, I don't mind modifying PurgeCSS to give me a public accessor to its AST. If that's a modification I have to do, I'll do it. But I don't want to mess with iteration. Sipping on some tea. Feels close. Feels close. Feels like we almost have it. Extract file selectors. Gets, what is this? Gets CSS alert and rem, what? Okay, isn't that the whole purpose of it? Why is this commented just for this one line, when this is the purpose of the Entire library, what? Are these comments misplaced? Let me check that. Those comments have got to be replaced. Get selected some content files. Yes, those are misplaced comments. Okay, this is the original source. This is the compiled version. So it got the comments misplaced. Hope so. What can we do? What can we do? And this is what you do most of the time in programming. You just sit there. Now that's programming right there. Not this. But just now what do you do with your life? Content extractor. Where was that function again? Where was that? Extract selectors. That's this thing. Right. This is where we have our selector set. Wait. Where was the point where it was merging stuff? It was merging them. At where did I say? 673. Which is extract file selector. Okay. Selectors. Extract selectors again. Wait. If this is this a recursive call? What? If this is a recursive call, then how the heck does this thing not get reinstantiated and erased, even though it's actually getting... Oh, it is recursive, but it does a concat of the recursive call. Oh, there is an opportunity to make a Stack Overflow exception hack. Make your source code so large it will crash PurgeCSS. Or Node.js rather. Create so many files that there will be a Stack Overflow exception on Node.js. Right, so it is concatenating. It's concatenating. What? Okay, let me look at the. I don't have PurgeCSS checked out. Let me see what this looks like uncompiled. Because I think it's about time we do that. I thought I was only going to need the. It's so difficult to see every single time. PostCSS, PurgeCSS plugin repository. That's the only repository I thought I would need. Alright, so let's look at PurgeCSS repository. Whatever. Because that's not the one I have. I have something else. Whatever. Okay. Yeah, sure. Yes, I would. Thank you. New window. Ooh, pretty icons. Not so pretty flat design. Do I care about this right now? Yeah, why not? Maybe it'll get compile or something that will make navigation easier. Get that checked out. Oh look, left pad 1.3 is deprecated. What do you know? That of all things. Jeez. Ooh. Lots of blue stuff. What's the blue stuff about? Husky? What? View. Hey, I'm not the one using that stuff. Don't thank me. Thank you for using Husky. Thank you for using ViewPress. Yeah, I am not the one using that. Don't be thanking me, the installer. Cheaper creeper. Man. Anyway. Restrain your typical JavaScript ecosystem jokes, and let's see. What was that function that we couldn't figure out what it does with compiled code? That was extract file selector, which is here. Extract. No. Well, what is it then? Like, if not that, then where is that function defined? Hello. Here, function. Come here. I don't know. Do functions like any snacks or food that can, I don't know, bribe them with to come and stop hiding? Because I don't know, like, what am I supposed to look? Pug Alexa. Hey Alexa, we've looked at Alexas before. So it is called Alexa. Aha. Well, that's interesting. Okay, stuff. Don't know what this symbol means. I don't know what that means. Never did TypeScript before, so can barely read this. I mean, I know what an interface is. I can imagine. Actually, no, I can't imagine what a type would mean. I know what that is, but I wouldn't know why would you need this besides that, because usually in like Java, C#, PHP, interface is what defines type. Whatever, I don't care. Not a conversation for this evening. Where is this supposed to be? Extract file selector. Where is that supposed to be if not here? Like, I don't get it. Use for, it's the, what? Is that some deprecated function or something? Where's my version control stuff? Hello. Where is my version control panel? No, 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 no. Just cheat. Uh-oh. What? Where is my Git panel? Okay, well this is turning out to be okay. Let's regroup here. I lost my mind a little bit by not being able to find that function. So where is that function declared then? If this is PurgeCSS and this is compiled result of it, okay, what if I just search for file selector? What if I just do that? Yeah, but that's not a function. Help. I'm lost. How can this chunk that's in compiled code not show up anywhere in the sources? PurgeCSS, PurgeCSS, lib, PurgeCSS.js. Okay, what's in here? See, it's there. Extract file selectors. It is there. It is there. Extract file selectors. Right there. Why is this not in the repository of this thing? Did I don't think I wanted the wrong repository, did I? PurgeCSS. Extract file selector. Nope. Apparently it doesn't exist. Apparently it doesn't exist, even though it's right there. Okay, let's get a bit more clever. PurgeCSS.d. Let's just yes. Packages name PurgeCSS. .d. Why are you giving me only partial ones? Is there something about TypeScript projects I don't know? If this is the name of a function, then you would kind of sort of maybe expect that function to be in the source code. Oh, pine tree sticks. Extract file selector. If I search the entire GitHub, can I search the entire GitHub for extract file selectors? All of GitHub. What? Okay. Oh, it's in post. Oh. Oh, and how was I supposed to know that? And how was I supposed to know that this thing actually comes from PostCSS PurgeCSS repository as opposed to PurgeCSS repository? And how does this only have 82 stars? Where, like, what? Okay, I am just thoroughly lost on this one. File format content. Does this even match what we're doing? Second parameter is. No, this doesn't match. This wants a. Okay, it might actually. Okay, I don't know what to think about this. I really don't. So I won't. And let's think of something else. Okay, I have to think about this, unfortunately, because I have to know where this is coming from, because this is probably the place I will be modifying. How do I also know if it returns anything, by the way? What does it do eventually with those? Okay, so it actually returns those selectors. Okay, so if I can just figure out where this file is coming from, and then modify it so this returns a map of setters, and then having done that, because I want map of selectors to files. Do I want that within this mysterious PurgeCSS file? We don't have any idea where it came from. Or do we want this to output to here and then have it re-entered into it at line 85? That's another existential question right there too. Does this return anything, by the way? Returns a string? Really? This returns a string. Get selector CSS string. So you go from CSS abstract syntax tree back to a string at some point. Also, now that the debugging session is not on, I'm getting all these TypeScript files when I navigate. What is this? Oh god. So that's this thing, that's this thing. See, that's what I mean. This file has to be here, not here. This file has to somehow exist over here. Like, what is going on here? We got... What did they even download? What is this project? PurgeCSS.d. Wait, what? That's Pugla. That's not what I said. Oh. Apparently I did say that. PurgeCSS. What project is this in? That I don't know. Where does this thing live? How does it, like, what package, do I have like a URL of the repository this is in? PurgeCSS 140. How do you navigate these JavaScript libraries? The thing says, this is PurgeCSS 140. I go to the PurgeCSS repository, whatever the version is, and it's not there. There's this one, but it's called something else. And this looks familiar. Okay, this is the plugin version for PostCSS. This is the piece that connects the two together. Okay, that's been sliding down for a while. Ooh, that's not good. I guess the microphone couldn't take the drama with figuring out this JavaScript TypeScript files either. It just started falling down from all of it. Okay, so we've been through all of this. This is where we started. PostCSS, PurgeCSS. Where is the actual PurgeCSS? Where is this file? Where is the project URL? Okay, let's go here. Finally found something. Bugs go here. According to package CSS. Okay. Alright, there. Okay. We are at version 142. I have 140 installed. Okay. Hopefully shouldn't make a difference. Is this what is this what I just downloaded? Where is the file I downloaded? I downloaded, I think. Where did it go? This one? No, it's not that. That's the plugin between the two, but not it. Should I just re-download it directly again? Yeah, I've done this, didn't I? Yeah, I've done that. Okay. So haven't done that. Get file extractor. It's in the what? Okay. Okay. Where is it? Which one is that now? 1 second. Let me just look through my projects real quick. Open. PurgeCSS, this one, new window. Okay, that's it there. Let's put this back on stream. Somewhere here, like that. That'll do. Yep. And then this one, arrange that to go over here. Okay. If you gonna show up in my search result, Wasn't I want the, like what? It wasn't showing up in my search. Oh. Hmm. Wow. See, this is where I would edit this out. Along with a bunch of other things I've done in life. Okay. Alright. That I need to come down after this. That was something. I'm trying to get this organized. Okay, fine. Okay. Ooh. So let's see. How does this actually work? Extract correspond. Get the extractor corresponding to the extension file. File name of the file. The extractor array. Okay, so file name. It's a private function. Crap, it's a private function. Ooh. Yeah, you obviously can't see that from the compiled sources, can you? No, you definitely can't see that. Wait. That's not a... No, the file I'm looking for is still not there. No. Okay, I was not as crazy as I thought I was. No, because this is still not here. So if that is... Okay, you know what? This is absolutely up the wall now. This is insanity. This is absolute insanity. So if this function name extract file selector... No. It's still not here. It's still not here. So, okay. The clipboard must have messed up because that's not what I was looking for. Code. I know it has to be from full human because he's the one that does this. That's the repository you want to do it in. PostCSS, PurgeCSS. Okay, so this must be the library then. PostCSS, PurgeCSS. Is he doing some kind of cross compile? No, but this is usage of it. This is PurgeCSS.extract file select. This is usage of it, not the source of it. So where the flip is the source of it? Again, we're back where we were half an hour ago now. Is this where I give up? I just don't know anymore. The thing that I thought I found was just some weird clipboard thing got replaced. There must be something about TypeScript I don't know. There has to be something about TypeScript I don't know, because how does this flipping function here get generated? It's been called by other repositories, mainly the plugin one. But it is nowhere on the internet apparently where it's defined. Where is it defined? how does it ever get compiled into this file? How does extract file selector ever get there? What about something other, like extractor or selector? Is there something from that we can do? No, not either. Where, pray tell, are these functions defined? Again, this is usage. This is it being used. That's this piece here. That's usage as well. That's some fork. That is usage. That is usage. That is more usage. Is that a fork? Yeah, that's just a fork. I don't know. Gee, that's a common name. Okay, this is something. Where is my freaking IDE? What? Ah, okay, there you go. Okay, so I did find this one. It's in this index file here. Extract selectors, extract result detailed. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, stuff. Where is this used? It's used in what? Just looking at usage of these functions. Extract selectors from string. Would really help if I could see what the version of, like, I don't. Show history. Okay, now it shows up. Jeez. Okay. Is there some point of time where that function got renamed? Not that I see. Because where, pray tell, would I figure this out? No, not figure this out. Modify this. Come on, microphone, keep up. Microphone, I know it's depressing. I know this is difficult and tough, and all this exploding with all this JavaScript and TypeScript stuff, but keep up. Oh, that was a loose screw right there. That was one loose screw. Okay. I think I found this function here, extract selectors. I think I found this function. It is okay, so it's defined here. This would be, I'm thinking scope of that thing. No, it's okay, it's a function, that's an object, so this would belong to here, unless there is a dot bind. I don't see dot bind, therefore it has to be the scope. I'm really perplexed about where in the world is this function supposed to be located. I can only find usage of this thing. I can only find it in the compiled versions of the PurgeCSS. But I don't see it anywhere. Like, is it in an alias anywhere? Extract rows. Where is this function defined? Not here. Okay, you know what? I don't know. Can we do another debug run through of it? Maybe see where this is sitting? I don't know. But this is where I would do the set modification. If we can actually find where is that crazy function defined, wait, I lost it already. Jeez. Off we go there. Extract selectors. Selectors, delete. Wait, what did my notes say? My notes said 673. I lost my what? I lost my breakpoint there. Yeah, there we go. That's where I want to be. I want to be there. Yeah. Alright, so if we can find where is the definition of this crazy function, then we can modify the way these selectors get output from set to being just a regular object. And then once we get Yeah, so this here would then have to like know how to navigate the iterable thing. But at the moment there is not, I don't think, much I can do unless I can find the original source of this one. And unless this is a deprecated function that has been removed, I can only see usage of it. And if it was deprecated and if it was removed, I wouldn't see usage of it either. This is interesting. Who is that? No, I think that's just a fork. What? How did I get here? Okay, I think that must be a bundle that somebody compiled and version controlled, which is annoying because that's not gonna help. Where are we with stream? We are at 3 hours and a half, and I don't think I made any good progress in the past 30 minutes. Because all I've been doing is I've been chasing where is this function defined across the internet, and I'm not seeing it. So I will probably stop it soon. We know, based on our notes, what needs to be done, and more or less where it needs to be done. We can pick that up next time once I figure out where this file is hiding. So I will do this most likely next stream, because it's kind of senseless at this point for me to just scroll up and down searching for this thing. I'll find it off stream, and once I find it, then I will schedule another one. And if it's a place that can be modified and within reason be made as a fork or an extension or something, then we will implement it then. For now, I am going to stop the stream and watch me find where this is located 5 seconds after I stop the stream. For now, I will say good night.